Hey guys, so I've had the privilege of trying out up to the end of Chapter 2 of the brand new remaster, well, it's really just a straight up remake, of the first Raidou game from ATLUS, and big thanks to them and SEGA for this opportunity. Now, to sum up my experience, I'm genuinely impressed with this game and spent a very fun 6 hours experiencing Taisho-era Japan as a devil summoner. But before I dive into my more detailed first impressions on Raidou Remastered The Mystery of the Soulless Army, I'd like to quickly say that, first off, I have never played the original Raidou games, nor did I know anything about them aside from them being one of the only ARPGs from ATLUS. Aside from the Raidou Remastered announcement trailers, I'm honestly coming into the spin-off series completely blind. Speaking of ARPGs, I've really only played titles like the OG Nier Gestalt, Nier Automata, Tales of Arise. Does Okami count? So in other words, I can't say I have too much experience with them. But what I can say is that I played Raidou Remastered on the Private Eye or normal/standard difficulty, and it felt really smooth and good to me. Well, okay, there's like one aspect that took some getting used to. So there's this ability that's essentially toggling your companion demons on and off. When they are on, they will use skills to help you in combat, but this will also make them vulnerable to enemy attacks, which can knock them out if their HP reaches 0. There are enemy skills that are undodgeable, which will definitely require you to protect your demons by toggling them off. So as for me, I don't know exactly what it was, but it took me a while to wrap my head around this. I think I subconsciously expected for there to be some kind of cooldown or lag every time you use the toggle, so I ended up being way too conservative in my use of it at first. The fact is, it's completely smooth and instantaneous, which is why I settled on the toggle term to refer to it. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I feel like this is a result of my early teen years. Like, I vaguely remember some kind of super laggy summoner job system from one of those old school free-to-play Asian MMOs. My point is that I think I'm probably an outlier for how long it took to get comfortable with this particular mechanic, but just something I thought was worth mentioning. But now let's get into, without any major spoilers, the basic premise and setting. So we are playing as Raidou Kuzunoha the 14th, an apprentice detective and powerful devil summoner in Taisho-era Japan. We are tasked with protecting the capital's citizens from demons and, probably unsurprisingly, uncovering a conspiracy affecting the entire nation. So the early story is intriguing enough in a vacuum, though the most interesting thing that stands out to me is the commentary centered around the technological advancements and modernization of this era, 1920s leading into 1930s Japan, and how that creates tension within the greater society. I definitely look forward to seeing how much of an impact this could have on the overarching narrative beyond some dips into it that already exist in the early game. And I'll say the NPCs, if you take time to speak with them, have more to add regarding this topic that just kind of adds to the overall setting. So those of you who've been around my channel long enough know that I'm incredibly invested in all the socioeconomic, political, and cultural context of these real-life historical periods, and something set in the Taisho era when it comes to video games is a pretty rare treat. I'm curious how I'm ultimately gonna view Raidou's story once all is said and done, given that many of the growing problems faced in the decades prior, so in the 1910s, 1920s period in the world, are echoed in things we see nowadays a whole century later. A global pandemic, i.e. the Spanish flu, huge wealth inequality, growing pace of technology advancements in both warfare and civilian life, and not only that, Taisho-era is an increasingly hyper-imperialist and militaristic time in Japan as it transitions into the 1930s Showa era, and we have sadly fallen back into a similar ideology where I live, the United States in 2025. So to quote Theodore Reich, a prominent psychoanalyst, there are recurring cycles, ups and downs, but the course of events is essentially the same, with small variations. It has been said that history repeats itself. This is perhaps not quite correct. It merely rhymes. Okay, one more additional thought on the Overworld gameplay. So I was impressed that the demons had actual use outside of just battle. So something I've noticed of the mainline Shin Megami Tensei games I have played, which to be fair are not a lot, is that the demon race system is kinda lackluster. So what do I mean by that? I get that it exists as a formula for fusing, like insert class A demon with class B demon to get class C demon, but otherwise it's kinda just there. So I like how the spin-off of SMT, Persona, well, at least Persona 3 onwards, kind of builds on that by adding some interesting ludonarrative game mechanics, like how the level of your social link will strengthen the persona you fuse from the corresponding arcana. So I was pleasantly surprised that this other spin-off of SMT, Devil Summoner Raidou, gives each race of demons their own unique overworld skill that just adds some fun quirkiness and character to the game. So yeah, I can't help but appreciate this more deliberate implementation of the demon classification system beyond just the fusions, and I hope it's just as enjoyable and fun for you guys. Speaking of demon fusions, the Gouma Den is its own brand of quirkiness, and I'm a sucker for pipe organ music. But anyway, overall, I think this game looks great. This remake really did the graphics justice while still capturing the same feel of the original art direction, and the OST is banging in a chill and funky groove way. I know the battle themes are kinda a given, so as for me, I'd like to shout out the town theme in Tsukudo. And yeah, I like that it's a more modern soundtrack that is kind of unexpected, but also doesn't feel out of place with the early 1900s setting. Well, actually, I guess it's not that unexpected when it comes to and especially Shoji Meguro's library. But yeah, so far I'm sold on Raidou Remastered, and I definitely look forward to playing the full thing once it's out. The official release date is June 19th on all major platforms, so what do you guys think? Does Raidou sound intriguing to you? For those of you planning to get it, let me know what things draw you in the comments below. Would appreciate all the other things like liking, sharing, subscribing if you like this, and finally, I'd like to thank all my patrons and channel members for their support. These videos wouldn't be possible without you guys, and I'd like to especially thank my special fusion supporters: Big Clingy, Sam Bezjak, M. Meownalin, Malcolm Lowry, Peter Shepard, Andy, Jimmy Tapiz, Frank Sasaki, Phoenix Black, Brian Zen24, and Weeping Blade.